So in today's video I got up super early to catch a train ride from Montreal to Toronto. It's a 5-hour train ride and it was through Via Rail. And I've lived in Canada for 24 years, a little bit more than that, and I've never actually took a train ride before. But I figured I opt in for taking a train ride because I don't have to drive there and the cost would have been the same, relatively gas price versus train ride. And you get a meal included and some drinks in business class. So it was kind of ideal to do that. The beauty of the train is that you can actually look outside the window, you don't have to be driving, and you can do some editing. I edited my last video on the train, you can actually check it out, where I was doing some bird photography and pretty much had a failed attempt at landscape photography. So the main reason I went to Toronto is to check out the Sony Alpha Community Event. I've never been to one of these events, but always kind of piqued my interest to check it out, see what it's all about. And yeah, when I got there, I found out they're doing one in Montreal, June 15, 2024. So if you're in Montreal, you're looking to check it out, you can probably go there. I'll probably be at the Montreal one too, but it took me to get to Toronto to find out they're doing it in Montreal. That would have saved me the trouble of going to Toronto in the first place. But a train ride back and forth from Montreal to Toronto seemed like a little bit of an adventure, so I figured, why not? So the main reason I went to Toronto was to really get my hands on the 400 2.8. I find it's really hard to get that lens in your hand and to try it out. It seems like it's not very available in Montreal, so I definitely wanted to go there to try it out. And unfortunately, they didn't have it available in their setup. And usually those kind of events, it's all indoor, so definitely they had different setups for different kind of scenarios. You have like sports setup, portrait setup, like a studio setup, and they had like a wildlife setup. My main interest was the wildlife setup because with a lens like that I was hoping to use it for wildlife, doing more wildlife photography.
So this shell is made out of the same thing as our fingernails and hair. It's keratin. It's a living part of their body, so she can feel even like gentle touches like that.
So when upon arrival, they didn't have the 400 2.8, but they had the new 300 2.8. And I figured in terms of quality and ease of use and trying it out, it's definitely going to be similar to the 400 2.8, the closest possible. So I got my hands on it, and the beauty of it that you can actually put that lens on your camera, use it with your own setup as you're comfortable with that. And I took a few shots with it. I only had like 2 minutes with it because obviously a lot more people wanted to try it out, so I didn't want to take away from that, and definitely just wanted to get my hands on it. And I was able to get some shots with it on my own memory card, and one of the best shots, they had like a bird setup where I can actually photograph some birds. They had a few different kind of wildlife setups, and it was kind of fun to get it out. It mimicked an outdoor setup where you might encounter wildlife in the wild. So it was interesting to get some shots with it, and looking at the pictures, I just show you guys right now. You can tell, when I zoom in on the eye, it's really, really sharp. Everything around it's super sharp, and the background is blurred out nicely. Now, the background was closer to the animal than you would get in the real life scenario of wildlife. And what's really surprising about the 300 2.8 was it was so lightweight. It was really comfortable to kind of use it around and take some pictures with it, even handheld. It was really, really nice. It didn't really need to have a tripod when using it, so it was kind of convenient. And honestly though, I was kind of looking at it and considering it alongside the 400 2.8, but a lens of this kind of caliber and choice, you only buy it once. And between the choices from the 300 to the 400 to the 600, I think for my opinion, for what I'm looking for down the line, I think I'm saving up to get one of these lenses. I think the 400 2.8 is the most versatile, because if you combine it with the 1.4 teleconverter, you're going to get a 560 f4, which is almost close to the 600 f4. And from watching other videos on YouTube using that combination, it doesn't really affect the quality or the speed of focusing with the converter. Shooting at 400 2.8, you get more of an environmental wildlife if the animal's kind of too far out of reach. But definitely you can also put on a 2-time teleconverter and go up to 800 f 5.6, which is, if there's sufficient light, it's still pretty usable, and definitely you probably would be better set up on a tripod in that situation rather than handheld. But I think also at the end of the day, it really depends on kind of what you're looking for. And so if you guys have anything to chime in on that topic, Do leave a comment if you've used these lenses before or if you own one yourself. Do let me know which one you would opt for between the three. I'd be curious to see. I love to talk about gear and use gear, and definitely I would have liked to have the 300 alongside the 400 to try out to get a feel for it. But these things, like I said, I'm sure they're you know, with Sony, the 300 2.8 is their new baby. Obviously at these events they're gonna have it available over the few-year-old or 400 2.8. That was kind of it for the event, and I pretty much had to get back to Montreal the same day. So it was pretty much in and out. I had like 3 hours at the event to catch the train ride back to Montreal to arrive the same day. And it was kind of fun taking the train back and forth. And yeah, I do recommend it if you ever want to travel and don't feel like driving. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.